Next tonight, Americans are feeling the pinch of rapidly rising prices at the supermarket. The spike is being caused by a combination of factors, but when will it end?
Now to the grocery store where prices are on the rise.
Your January grocery bill is about to look very different. While checking prices at major grocery chains across the country, we discovered that 10 everyday items are about to see the biggest price swing in decades. Before you make your next grocery run, here's what you need to know about the price changes that will impact your family's budget in 2025. Starting off with eggflation. Egg prices are increasing, and industry specialists predict that these elevated costs will continue through 2025, especially if highly pathogenic avian influenza, commonly referred to as bird flu, infections remain ongoing. Egg prices have remained high since 2023 because of the seasonal price hikes during the holiday season and supply disruptions caused by avian influenza. Costs are even tougher to bear in California, where regulations limit farmers from keeping hens in cages, leading to tighter supplies. There, eggs achieved a remarkable record of $8.85 per dozen. However, retailers have refused to increase prices, partly because they don't want to lose customers throughout the bustling holiday period, but they might raise prices in the upcoming year. This month, the USDA reduced its projections for egg production and exports for 2025, but increased its price expectations. Data indicates that of the 35 million commercial egg-laying hens that died from bird flu this year, almost half were infected with the virus in the last 3 months. Laborers in Iowa, the leading state in egg production, started eliminating a large flock of 4.2 million hens that were found positive this month. Next item to have a price hike next year is coffee. Coffee has become more than just a drink for younger generations. For many, it represents a lifestyle. But have you ever wondered why this mass-produced product is priced like a luxury good? Well, the pricing of coffee involves multiple stages: harvesting, distribution, roasting, packaging, and finally, retail. Most coffee shops double their production costs to determine prices, meaning a 100% markup that accounts for rent and utilities. Newer coffee brands may apply similar or even higher markups to cover their expenses. Grocery stores, however, tend to charge a lower markup of around 50% for coffee, particularly for wholesale products. And now, the cherished daily tradition of coffee could soon be more expensive, with specialists forecasting a substantial increase in coffee costs by a minimum of 20% in 2025. This rise is fueled by a mix of worldwide issues, such as supply chain interruptions, climate change, and escalating production expenses. Brazil, a leading coffee producer, has experienced prolonged dry spells and frost damage, which significantly affects its coffee crops. Next to eggs and coffee is cereal. Cereal plays a big role in the American diet, with nearly 290 million Americans consuming cold cereal for breakfast in 2024. While cereal prices may seem relatively low compared to other grocery items impacted by inflation, a significant portion of the cost comes from markups. Between 2022 and 2023, cereal prices increased by an average of 13.6%, with certain products like Cap'n Crunch, Chex, Fruity Pebbles, and Fruit Loops experiencing price hikes of 22% to as much as 42%. In 2025, the cost of cereal is expected to rise by 3 to 4% as manufacturers face higher expenses for ingredients like grains, sugar, and nuts, as well as shipping. Extreme weather events, such as flooding and late frosts, have led to lower yields of important cereal grains like corn, oats, and wheat. Moreover, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, noted that its cereal price index averaged 111.4 points in November 2024, registering a 2.7% decline from October and an 8.0% fall compared to the same timeframe last year. Oats and oat products are also expected to become more expensive in 2025 because of higher demand for oat products, climate change affecting harvests, increased expenses for farmers, and competition for land from more profitable crops. In August 2022, droughts caused the percentage of oat acreage rated as good, excellent to drop to 20%, while fertilizer prices tripled at the same time. Moreover, oat plantings decreased by 3% in 2022 and are down 40% since 2012. As demand exceeds restricted supplies, items such as oatmeal and oat milk are expected to be pricier for consumers in 2025. Also, the fact that there has been a rising demand for plant-based diets, products like oat milk and oat snacks have grown in popularity, causing competition for resources once used for basic oat products like oatmeal. Meanwhile, climate changes, including extreme weather in key growing areas like Canada, the US, and Europe, have reduced crop yields. Farmers face higher costs for irrigation and alternative methods, which further raise prices. Storage is also a challenge, as oats need precise conditions to avoid damage, and rising energy costs make storage and processing more expensive. Additionally, producing processed oat products like snacks and protein bars adds extra costs due to transportation, packaging, and distribution. Aside from coffee lovers, wine lovers will also be disappointed to know that wine is also one of the grocery items to have a price hike in 2025. Wine production faces rising costs due to water scarcity, shifting consumer preferences, and new technologies. Vineyards in areas like California, Spain, and Italy are requiring advanced irrigation systems, and we all know how costly these things are to install and maintain. The demand for organic and biodynamic wines also drives prices higher, as these farming practices are more labor-intensive and require certification processes. Additionally, wineries are using advanced technologies like drones and automated systems to monitor and optimize production, which adds significant costs. Climate change is forcing vineyards to experiment with hardier grape varieties, requiring replanting and years of research, further increasing expenses. International trade tariffs and changing global markets add to the volatility in wine prices. Exported wines face added costs due to taxes and fees, especially in areas with trade restrictions. Import duties and tariffs have made foreign wines more expensive in global markets, affecting both consumers and exporters. Beef prices, on the other hand, are projected to rise by another 2 to 3%, with ground beef potentially reaching $6 per pound. Due to drought conditions, ranchers are forced to sell off large portions of their herds, and it will take years to rebuild cattle numbers to pre-drought levels. Another reason why beef prices are expected to stay high until 2025 and into 2026 is because of supply issues. Several cattle producers in North America have also been compelled to minimize their herds. That leads to tighter supplies, still due to dry seasons. Increasing food prices, rising interest rates, and reducing herd sizes have all contributed to record-high costs. And the fact that numerous producers are leaving the industry, the decrease in supply worsens the situation even further. For cattle farmers, these increases in prices are advantageous, but the situation is entirely different for consumers. Even ground beef, which is usually regarded as the cheapest beef choice, has experienced a 15% increase in cost in the last year. These price increases are based on several prior price hikes in recent years. Considering existing trends, farm-gate beef prices may keep rising until mid-2025, setting new records and extending the upward strain on retail prices. In the larger meat sector in the United States, beef is not the sole protein encountering difficulties. Prices for pork and chicken are also increasing. The hog market has faced comparable upward pressure, potentially resulting in pricier pork chops, ham, and bacon. Nevertheless, Angus Gidley Baird, an analyst at Rabobank in Sydney, stated that the United States will ultimately increase production and regain market share. And the list continues. Bread prices are also likely to climb by about 3%, with a loaf costing between $3 and $3.50. This anticipated price increase in 2025 is a result of various interrelated factors. Rising production expenses, caused by higher ingredient costs such as flour, are a major factor, with certain areas reporting significant increases in flour prices. High flour prices directly result in higher bread prices, because we all know that flour is the main ingredient in bread making. When the price of flour increases, bakeries and producers encounter greater costs, which are usually passed on to customers. The rise in ingredient prices also impacts the making of specialty breads that use enriched or organic flours, which further increase total costs. Furthermore, small bakeries that have tighter profit margins might find it difficult to handle these expenses, forcing them to either raise prices or cut back on production. And we know well how it ends for them: more supply issues, and so additional price increases. Global factors, including wheat shortages caused by inadequate harvests or geopolitical tensions, also affect flour prices and consequently bread prices, emphasizing the ripple effect of increasing flour costs on the entire market. What intensifies the problem even more is the regulatory modifications, including shifts in tariffs or farming subsidies, plus the inflation and fluctuating currency exchange rates. Additionally, labor shortages and increasing wages in agriculture also contribute to the issue, as severe weather events associated with climate change negatively affect wheat production. Farmers are planting less wheat as they shift to more profitable crops like corn and soybeans, while adverse weather in the U.S. and Canada has lowered wheat production. This expected increase is a component of a larger trend in food price inflation, which has been affected by elements like supply chain interruptions, rising production expenses, and greater demand. All combined, these economic, environmental, and regulatory elements are driving the expected rise in bread prices in 2025. Next grocery item on the list is pre-made food. Convenience foods, like ready-to-eat items and prepackaged meals, are predicted to experience price hikes in 2025 as well, because of several reasons. The U.S. Department of Agriculture predicts a 2% increase in general food costs, with grocery prices expected to go up by 1.1%, and pre-made meals are most likely to be affected by this shift. Supply chain issues, such as ingredient shortages and increased packaging expenses, lead to increasing production costs, which in return are transferred to consumers. Moreover, shortages of labor in the food industry persist in increasing operational expenses, which further contributes to rising prices. In spite of these difficulties, the demand for convenience foods among consumers stays strong, as many people choose sales, discounts, and bundled offers to control their grocery spending. Nonetheless, despite promotions, the heightened baseline prices for prepared foods indicate that these products are likely to continue being pricier in the year 2025. While pre-made food is a lifesaver, they frequently come at a higher price than making the same dish at home. Markup percentages for prepared foods can vary from 40% to more than 70%, based on the food type and its method of preparation. This is due to the fact that these products help consumers conserve time and energy, while retailers consider labor expenses, packaging, and spoilage when setting their prices. Pre-made sandwiches and salads are also the same, with commissary or packaged sandwiches having a 44% markup. Since pre-made food is considered perishable, stores face pressure to sell these items quickly before they expire, leading to higher markups or price increase. According to economic forecasts and trends noted in 2024, various factors indicate that prices for fresh fruits and vegetables might as well rise in 2025. A key factor is the continuous effect of climate change, which is causing more frequent and severe weather phenomena such as droughts, floods, and extreme temperatures. These circumstances can harm crops, lower production, and disturb supply chains, which then increase pressure on prices. Moreover, increasing energy and transportation expenses due to shifting away from fossil fuels may lead to higher costs for the production and distribution of fresh produce. Moreover, should global economic expansion persist in its recovery, the rising demand for fresh fruits and vegetables from a growing middle class in developing nations could put pressure on supplies and drive up prices. Although government policies and technological progress in agriculture could do something about these issues, current trends indicate that fresh produce prices are expected to be higher in 2025 than in prior years. Specifically, potato prices are rising as well due to pest infestations, disease, and production costs. Potato cyst nematodes damage roots and reduce yields, and controlling them requires rotating crops or using expensive pest treatments, which of course adds to farming costs. Whereas, tomato prices have increased by 15% because of harsh droughts in major agricultural areas and higher shipping expenses. Avocado prices, on the other hand, have increased by 20% due to reduced yields caused by intense heat waves and rising demand. Lettuce prices surged 18% due to crop destruction from floods and ongoing labor shortages. Next, citrus fruits, such as oranges and lemons, increased by 12% due to disease outbreaks and damage from storms to groves. And finally, berry prices also rose by 10% due to heat and drought affecting production and longevity. In general, the main factors behind these ongoing price increases for fresh produce are climate change, supply chain challenges, and high demand. And lastly, dairy products. In 2025, dairy items in the United States are anticipated to see price rises because of a few important factors. Milk prices are expected to increase in 2025 because of higher feed costs caused by drought and severe weather that has a great impact on crop yields, rising energy costs, and makes production and transportation expenses even higher. There's also been slower growth in milk supply relative to demand and strong consumption because of economic recovery. These elements are anticipated to increase average retail milk prices by 10 to 15% compared to 2023 figures. Cheese prices, on the other hand, are expected to rise in 2025 as global demand for cheese surpasses the increases in milk production. Meanwhile, increasing milk prices due to higher feed, energy, and transportation costs will increase cheese production expenses. The USDA has increased its projections for wholesale prices of dairy goods, suggesting that shoppers should anticipate higher expenses for products such as butter, cheese, and milk. Although worldwide dairy supply is bouncing back, U.S. dairy prices are projected to remain high because of local factors like feed expenses and production difficulties. The variations in feed expenses, which can influence the cost of milk production directly, are another factor behind the increasing dairy prices in 2025. In conclusion, every shopper should brace themselves for notable increases in grocery prices in 2025. It's more crucial than ever for customers to keep up with these trends, because knowing the reasons behind these price adjustments can assist you in making cheaper and smarter choices. As prices go up, the lower the chance that we get to afford everything that we want. And so, prioritizing our needs over our desires might just be another gentle reminder that we could use especially during these times.